Okay, we should be live. Hello, morphemes, phonemes, and graphemes. Welcome back to office hours. Let me just go to. I haven't done self promotion in a while. Let me just steal Lingo Lizards. Stealthy's Discord channel real quick to promote that. And I was a dumbass for the second week in a row. I did the Wordle this morning without thinking about it. I did started off with Globe at the request of my younger sister, and I got it in 4. Catch, you need to remind me on Sundays that I can't do the Wordle in the group chat. Because I keep doing this. Okay. So, as with last week, we will go back into the archive to the very beginning and do this Wordle. Uh, I need a 5-letter word. I don't want to use globe again. Um, crane. Okay. So it could be something re put. Okay. Not re-put, but it is re blank ut. Rebut. It was rebut. I just had the voicing wrong. Okay. And in good news, I did not do the connections yet today. I started them, but I did not do them. Okay. I'm gonna fail this one probably. I do not have much confidence. So, hawk and dove are both birds. I guessed cash, stand, stay, and hold was my very first guess, but that was a failure. But only one of them was wrong. So I don't think it's. Oh God. I think it's stand, cash, stay are the 3. Last one away. Ah. Okay, bred, bear, born, bull, spouse, occupation, education. I don't know how to describe it, but that feels like there's something there. Like the basic American life expectations. Born, bred are both, and bear. Born, bred, and bear all have to do with childbirth. Um, it might be a red herring though, because I don't know any other thing that has to do with childbirth. Pretty sure these are all also from the same root in PI in English. Education of. Okay, what is lute of hawk dough? Things that make loud, high pitched sounds. Nope, obviously not. Why is it that I only seem to fail this on stream? This feels okay. Let me just. Yep, should have seen that coming. This one makes sense. Goozy? Just think it was you down there. Sidebar info on a person's Wikipedia page. Oh my god. It's a stream. Yeah, it's a stream debuff, exactly. Homophones. Bread, cash, dough, and loot? Loot. That. Connections today is fun. I just failed it. Okay, let's do the flashback. Los machen das Flashback. Let me also get some music up. Bread, cash, dough, loot, L-E. Yep. Let me make sure that there's no computer. My music isn't heard because I don't want to be copyright striked. Start the quiz. Crowds of people in the Klondike Gold Rush. Join the Klondike. Even the mayor of Seattle quits his job to go north. The philosopher Democritus smells fresh bread and deduces that particles are wafting from the loaf to his nose. He calls tiny divisible objects atoms. Why is it? I'm sorry. Why is it a little German schoolboy? Why is Democritus represented by a little German schoolboy? Alex Trebek debuts as the host of Jeopardy. When he later marries, he says his wedding vows in his trademark style. The answer is yes. Andrew Jackson pays off the national debt, selling federal land to help to do so. His policies contributed to a real estate crisis, putting the U.S. back into debt. Sounds about right. The Stonewall riots in New York ignite protests for gay rights, debuting mottos like gay power. Activists feel like they don't have power, just pride. That was the 60s, wasn't it? Yeah, 69. Blech. Nice. Maybe the full safe connection depends on the day of the week. Maybe. That could be something, but I doubt it. Fearing a crisis caused by too many children, Deng Xiaoping introduces a one-child policy to restrict births. That was, I think that was 70s, but it might have been 90s. I'm gonna say 70s. Yes! Tony? She can't hear me. I just realized, actually, if I angle my camera down towards my chair, they can see a predator in disguise, in a camouflage. I can turn off the camera real quick. Okay, camera is off. He'll be back. Don't worry. Yeah. My sister promises the cat will be back. Meow. A factory worker, Vesta Stout. Stut? Realizes that Jewish troops in combat need strong tape that can handle. I think she comes up with duct tape. This would be this period during. Yep, 43. The Metamorphosis is written by Franz Kafka, who at times sees himself as repulsive. His friends, by contrast, call him handsome, witty, and charming. Oh, God. I think that was. Yeah, 1915. Along the Mediterranean, the Greeks found the city of Marseille. It learns to make its own alcohol, which is one of the origins of French wine. I think that was this period. No, they were there. I think this period. Damn it! I learned about the Marseille Greeks in my Gallic War class. Actually, I know that they've been there for so long that the okay that Caesar describes them as old, but that their language is still similar enough to modern Greek that it couldn't have been that long. Which means there was either subsequent migrations over there to bringing the language, keeping the language similar, or that it just didn't develop, or just had the isolation effect of, I don't know. Lingual. I'll have better luck with lingual. Turkish. Lingual. No. Lingual. There we go. Okay, this is. I'm not seeing eyes. This is a point away from. Is this Russian? It is Russian. Totsels ser suman nixi. What? Is this Catalan? Catalan? Hey! It's IPA. People out there speak IPA. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, it's gonna be a African language. I know that. Anduge is African, isn't it? Caucasian. So B. Okay. So it's in this area here. But you, you. Proves that IPA is a real language. Okay, so it's not that one. Let's do phone. Phone. If this was on 98, then it's gonna be more north. It's more north. Um, it's definitely not Hausa, I can tell you that. Of Western Africa, that's just... Also, Niger Congo isn't a language. Uh, is Ede is not an option. Wadi? Okay, this is not helping. Definitely not Yoruba. Okay, what language is this? I want a Volta Congo. Nope. Could be crew. Okay, this is not great. What's Rundi? I don't think that's... Yeah, no. Let's do Swati as the last guess. Did I? Kabiye. It was, yeah, okay. Kabiye language. So is it actually a writing system or is it a transcription system? And again, where does Langle pull its orthographies from? Kabiye. Also under Kabiye. Oh. Un momento, por favor. Hi, kitty. Okay, I am back. Cabra... Cabre... also primarily on the program. It's a national language. Okay, the retroflex would explain. They do have retroflex. So, do they... No, they have vowel harmony. Kind of, maybe. Maybe they don't. But long back unrouted vowels only occur at morpheme boundaries. That is fascinating. As a tonal language, meaning that pitch differences are used to distinguish one word from another. These contrasts may be lexical. So you either call somebody your brother, or you call them an intestinal worm. Or grammatical. I love it when tones are grammatical. There are two tones, high and low. 6-tone contours are possible. monos and syllable. Nouns. Da 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 da. It's automatic censorship where H following an L is always pronounced on a lower pitch than the preceding H. And the same newest tonal phrases occur once words are placed in context. Okay. Yep, vowel harmony. Lip rounding vowel harmony, which some affixes contain some rounded vowels. E, I, or rounded vowels. Orthography. Wait. Okay, so retroflex d becomes d intervocalically, so there's only a need for one spelling of it. Got it. Enye and ng. Do we see enye or ng? I don't see ng or enye there, but it seems like this is a case of. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, now I'm confused again. Because there's no here. And there's no A followed by a but here there's an A followed by a. Oh, never mind. There's an A followed by a. I was wrong. It makes sense again. Standard orthography does not generally mark tone. The single exception is the spelling of two subject pronouns that are tone minimal. Huh. Fascinating. Oh, it does have a. This is Booter. He's a kitten. Yeah, that's a lie. He's now 2 years old. But he is a hefty boy. Pure muscle. When I say pure muscle, I mean pure muscle. He is woofta. Okay. Now, I think I love how I got farther away with each guess. That is actually kind of amusing. But anyway, I think uh should I do this or should I hmm don't bring up that kanji. The pain of that kanji. Conlangs. Huh. Okay, let me maximize. Why aren't you maximizing? There we go. Are you broken? You are no longer broken. Okay. Also, I did turn up, dial down the resolution of the screen just for the stream. Because, oh my god. Everything is so big at this resolution. Okay, let's see. Tokyo. Phantom Guardian Elder Breeze. Not Booger, Booter. His actual name is Ibn Batuta, and his nickname was going to be Ducky because Batuta means duck. But he was too. He did not give off Ducky vibes, so we started calling him Boots, Booter, Batuta. Uh, but my favorite nickname for him is Butter. Okay, Phantom. I feel like Phantoms. What kind of sounds do phantoms make? What kind? Let me turn up the computer volume so you guys can hear these. I might need to turn that up more. Are you? One sec. I just realized. There we go. I was hearing ever so slightly the throughput of the microphone. I don't know why that's on by default, and it shouldn't be, but it was. Okay, so it's kind of. We can probably base it off the sound of the wings. We could also. Do I have a word for dreams? Nightmare. Half naked on the car. We could name it after because they only appear when one doesn't sleep. Just give it a unique name, such as nightmares. Why that wobbly? Uh, let's see. So dreams. You could just do something simple such as Mara. And then dream, nightmare. Maybe you don't need a distinction, but you could take the Marar. Phantom. An abstract concept. They're not real. They don't exist. Um. So this would be Mara. Nigerian prince scam. Surprise, surprise. It ended up being a white man. Oh. Okay, this has a down step. Forces accent to be. Do I have names for these accents? To be fault rising. Okay, and then copy this. Grab the little. There you are. And there we go. Actually, wait. This should be. Grab that. It should be like that. Let me grab the R mark to fix that up. Animate nominalizer. There we go. And then guardians. There are two ways we could go about this, because I think in the lore, guardians are technically non-organic. They're robots. But at the same time, would the villagers know that? Or would they see them as evil fish? Big fish. If they see them as big fish, we could do the augmentive. Plus fish. Do I have a word for fish? No, I do not. So, a word for fish. Just look at the. Minge. 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 Fish. Let me just borrow this. Fish. Animal. And then the guardian could be a naminge. Naminge. Great fish. Oh, then what should Elder Guardian be? Because I already did the augmentive. Could just use the metaphorical. There. Problem solved. And then there we go. Augmentive. Wait, that's ne. Why won't you stay bold? Fish. Is it realistic? Yeah, I don't know. But it is about a world set in where everything is a block. Okay, so what about the breeze? What would the breeze be? Do you have a word for blaze? Wait. I have three words. Whoops. No, I'll keep that. I'll keep those. I'll have three different words for to burn. To blacken, cook, to burn beyond fire, to burn, set aflame, crackle. I will keep that distinction. But what? What? Oh, what? Oh, what? I think I might just make a new word for it. Though it should also still be derived. I'm trying to think about uh what breezes are like. Uh I've never actually interacted with breezes all that much. Let me just see what they're like. God, that is. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna be playing really. Create new world. Creative. Let me see what the breezes are like. Uh, spawn eggs. Three should be up here. I'm so glad they finally sorted them. So they appear in dungeons. I know that. I should probably turn off my resource packs. So they're kind of. They're not really much like. Blazes. But they definitely have a whooshing sound to them. Yeah, so definitely a whooshing sound. Which I guess makes sense. I think there is canonically wind in the game. So we could do something based on wind. Such Ooh, ooh, woofoo, woofoo. Wind, woo, woofoo. Ana, ma, onomatopoeia? Fuck. It is just a basic F bilabial, uh, labiodental fricative, yes. Actually, we could even make it into a, that should not look like that. There we go. To blow plus extract nominalization. So in this case, we do have nominalizers that can, I think, wind makes sense. They're called breezers after all. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I think this also establishes that we can have nominalizations of nominalizations. Does that make much sense? Ah. Again, it's a language for people who live in a game of blocks. Okay, I should actually add these words to the verbs now then. Mara. Oof. To dream. To blow. As in the wind. What the? What the? Why does my mail keep opening on me? Don't save. Close and stay closed. Let me do my little joke. What the? Get your mind out of the gutter. There we go. There we go. Joke achieved after much hardship for some reason. Okay, that and that. Copy. There we go. Mm. Get rid of those R's and then fix this R down here. There we go. Okay, this goes here. That goes there. Animals. Fish will go there. The rest of these are mobs and monsters, so they will go here. Pig should go up with the uh, thing, the animals. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I don't want to quit Safari. That would be bad. Okay, now let's do this for the last 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to be ending early today for reasons. Okay, so since the last stream, I cleaned this up and I'm leaving it to stew for a bit before I work on the verb some more. So let me work on the pitch accent section. How many viewers do we still have? 2. Assuming one of them is Cat. Good chance the other one is Malice, so Malice might have left. Booter! Kitty! Ah! Can I lure people back in with a cat? No, buddy! Buddy! Stop trying to run away! What's wrong, buddy? Here. Sit on my lap. Come on. He did not want to sit on my lap. But he's not running away. He's just sitting there mocking me now. Okay. Japanese, like many of the languages in East Asia, is a tonal language. Japanese specifically has 2 tones, a high tone and a low tone that appear in very specific patterns called pitch accents. There are a total of 4 pitch accents split into accented and unaccented depending on when the pitch drops in the word. For accented words, if the first syllable has a high tone, then every syllable afterwards has the low tone. If the first syllable has a high tone, then the syllables following will be high. If the first syllable has a low tone, then the syllables following will be high until the accented syllable. In which case, every syllable afterwards will be low. The accented syllable could be the second syllable, third, or even final. For unaccented words, every syllable but the first has a high tone. And then we have the accented or kifukushiki, 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 kifukushiki. There you go. Then Atama Dakagata, or head high. Nakadaka, Nakadaka gata or mid high. Odaka gata or tail high. And then unaccented or heiban shiki. Heiban, heiban gata or unaccented. Shi. Okay. I love how I had to find a different word to use for the Nakadaka. Is there any word that starts with hashi that is Nakadaka? Because I might want to use that instead. Anyway, the difference between Odaka and Heiban is how the pitch interacts with following particles. With Heiban words, the pitch stays high on most following particles, while Odaka words will generally have a pitch drop before the final syllable, between the final syllable and particle. Heibanga versus Hashiga. I feel like that should be part of the. And then that needs to have the font for Japanese. There we go. If the downstep occurs on a complex syllable ending in either a long vowel or then the downstep occurs within the syllable with the first half being high and the second half being low. What are good examples of this? Kat, think of good examples for me as I type out the verbs and adjectives section. Unlike most words in Japanese, verbs and adjectives cannot take all four types of pitch accents. Instead, they may only be accented with the downstep being right before the last syllable. So they may only be accented with the downstep before the last syllable, or they may be unaccented. Span class equals JP Fukushiki. Well, Nakadaka is where the accent anymore is neither the first nor the last, so it is not possible with Hashi. Well, yeah, it's not with Hashi specifically, but with the word that might start with Hashi, is what I'm saying. So, like a word that has Hashiko, or something like that. That is fair. But at the same time, this is kind of the standard. That's not how Odaka is spelled. Odaka gata. There we go. And unlike the there you go. Unlike the Katsuoke that I have foregone for the explaining the verb forms, the having the distinction is still useful to an extent. Hashiru, as in to run. Hashiru, hashite, hashite. I that does is that Nagadaka? Hashiru. Well, I'm saying it is hashite, hashite, hashiru. Ha, shi, ru. To run. Thank you, cat. And then, oh, I actually had perfect examples of this in my presentation a while ago on Japanese pitch accent. Is it a Japanese presentation? It is kanji and pitch accent. There you go. Hareru versus hareru. Atsui. Atsui. I-E. What is the etymology of I-E? It's id est. Id est. Okay, so good to know that they're different actually. I mean, for a thing like this, it probably doesn't matter all that much, but I should learn the difference if I'm going into academia. Hareru. Hareru. So this is to clear GPDB. What does the other hareru mean again? To swell. To swell. So e.g. hareru to clear versus hareru to swell. Or atsui. God, I'm tired. Hot versus thick. Or deep. Actually, why don't I italicize these just to make them. There we go. Mm. No one to hold you. Okay, so that's pitch stays high in most following particles, but Odaka words will generally have a pitch drop between the final syllable and particle. Downstep occurs on a complex syllable, ending either a long vowel or with then the downstep occurs within the syllable. Okay, and I think that's all. I think that's good for an introductory note on Japanese. I think I'm actually gonna get rid of this and talk about it later. Most places will teach long form first, like Genki teaches long form and mass form first, which I think is useful, especially since Genki's purpose is to get people speaking, and you generally want them speaking in a politer manner. So, like, just not using the forms you'd use with family and friends and whatnot. But for these notes, I'm trying to structure them to be a bit more grammar focused. As in, like, everything is building off of each other. Okay, now let me look at the verb stuff I finalized yesterday. I didn't really finalize them, though. So, Japanese verbs can be split into three groups: U verbs or go-down verbs, ru verbs or ichidan verbs, and irregular verbs. Both go-down verbs and ichidan verbs have some verbs in them that are irregular, but for the most part, only one form of each of those forms is irregular. On the other hand, yeah, which I think is good if you're trying to learn the language, if you're taking your time learning the language, as well as if you're trying to learn it from a more grammatical standpoint instead of a more speaking standpoint. Like if you're trying to understand the grammar, you should start with short form. On the other hand, every form of the it's also I think good to start with the short form if you're trying to do listening practice. As usually when you're doing that, you'd be watching uh, TV shows, reading manga, light novels. So you'd be seeing a lot of short form in use. Anyway, on the other hand, every form of the irregular verbs are regular, and must be memorized. The distinction between the three verb types can be best exemplified through the 7 forms, the forms of the verb that all suffixes append to. The dictionary form, the conjunctive form, dictionary form, jishoke, conjunctive form, renyoke, the euphonic form, that says kakoke. That should be onbinke. Onbinke, the Irialis form, mizenke, the hypothetical form, kateke, kateke, the imperative form, meireke, and the volitional form, ikoke, ikoke. The godan verbs all end with a kana in the udang. I should just actually use. I'll leave that one there. There's only one verb that ends in nu, that being shinu. The endings fu, yu, zu, and z do not exist in modern Japanese. The final syllable in this class will frequently change its vowel when conjugating between one of the 5 possible vowels in Japanese, hence the name Godang or pentagrade. Some things to note for Godang verbs are that I should actually use the English terms here, because this is for English speakers. Hypothetical and the uh, wait. Oh, wait. Imperative forms are identical, and the volitional form takes a long vowel instead. And the ugyo verbs are in the Irialis. Becomes wa instead of a. Godan verbs all end with a kana in the udang, utsurubu, munu, kugus, and su. There's only one verb that ends in nu, that being shinu, to die. The endings feels awkward. Maybe if I parenthesize it instead. Then if I do that, that feels better. The endings fuyu, zu, and zu do not exist in modern Japanese. The final syllable in this class will frequently change its final vowel when conjugating between any of the five possible vowels in Japanese, hence the name godong or pentagrade. Some things to note for godon verbs are that the hypothetical and the imperative forms are identical. The volitional form takes a long vowel instead, and the ugyo verbs in the irrealis become wa instead of a. Wait, that should be agyo. How does that look to you, Kat? Does that look acceptable? Why is that? Why does that look so weird? Hmm. I did not know Yu Mincho added a space. Actually, I can probably best show that on. Yu Mincho adds a space for ho. I did not know that. That is fascinating. And then there's Yu Mincho 36p kana being extra as always. I swear to God, this is. Wait, where's the. Oh, there it is. Is one of the most extra fonts I've ever seen for Japanese kana, and I love it. And then it adds in. Okay, where are the stylizations? This is just the normal Mincho. Mincho. Where are the stylized hiragana? Now I just look insane. Yeah, it's showing here. Not in the. There we go. Anyway, this is what I was talking about. It is just ever so slightly extra with the little details. Like, look at that loop. Look at those little things. Anyway, it's what I actually. Let me reach. Actually, the font used for the Obarod, Obarodo, books, I'm pretty sure. So let me look at so. Yep, it's the Overlord light novels in Japanese use this font for their text. I love the look of vertical Japanese so goddamn much. I kid you not. There's not much more I love than the look of vertical text. Okay, let me close that. Uh, Ichidan verbs are verbs that end in the syllable ru, which drops away when conjugating, leaving only one form across the various verb forms. Hence Ichidan or monograde. Unlike Godang verbs, almost every form is identical, save for the and these should actually just be in English. And the volitional forms. One thing to note is that all Ichidan forms are either Kami Ichidan or upper monograde, verbs that end in Iru, or they are Shita Ichidan, or lower monograde verbs that end in Eru. Historically, this distinction was important, but today both are considered the same class of verb. Something to keep in mind is that all Ichidan verbs that are multisyllabic will have the syllable before Ru be written in hiragana separately from the kanji. I want a no breaking space. No breaks space. Can I get a no break space in Markdown? Does that work? Wait, but I don't want a space. I want a HTML generate no break no space. Zero with non-breaking space. Okay, found it. Hell yeah! Irregular verbs suru and kuru. They are so irregular that it doesn't really help much to place them into the tables above, as it's best to learn each irregular's form as various conjugations come up. To know if a verb is either godang or itidang is a matter of memorization. However, one doesn't need to memorize all seven forms. The best way to do this is to memorize only the dictionary. Dictionary. Actually, I should. And the euphonic form. Where's the? There it is. Tense of the verb. More on the past tense later. Verb notes. The 7 verb forms above are usually only for this guide. Shown above are used only for this guide. They're based on the katsuoke, the 6 forms of the verb used to derive all conjugations. However, the katsuoke was created to be used in classical Japanese and is still somewhat applicable to modern Japanese. Doesn't show the full picture of modern conjugation. What do I mean by multisyllabic? That are longer than 2 syllables will have the syllable before ru be written in hiragana separately from the kanji. Okay. There we go. Thank you for that. Okay. That is looking good to me. And with that, I'm going to have to end things there for today. I'm probably going to be moving office hours away from Sunday. I just need to figure out when I'm going to move them to. Probably Friday, if. But I'm going to be busy in the upcoming Sundays. So we'll probably have a second office hours this week. But I will. Yeah. Either way, I will have another office hours soon. But until then, or Tuesday if you watch my second channel, I bid you. I could move them to Wednesdays. Depends on if I find a job and when that job will be. Either way, until then, I bid you all adieu. Why are you saying bye, cat? I'm gonna be talking to you later. That sounded much more ominous than it needed to be. I'm gonna be sending you this for proofreading. Please, I'm not threatening you. Bye.